Hi, Bea. Hi, Beatrix. How are you?
Hello, Yusra. Lovely to see you. Really, I'm so happy to talk to you now. And I'm
Same.
very well, thank you.
Same. You can't really imagine how happy I am. And we've been scheduling this, planning this for so long. And finally, we did it. We made it. Yay. So, Beatrix, welcome to the Ikigai and Kaizen podcast in its third edition. And I'm so glad to have you as my honored guest. And I choose you, Beatrix. I don't know if that's the energy, you're a nice person. You always live your life with a purpose. That's what I saw it. You like colors just like the way I do. It's like whenever I come across your profile, beyond being a colleague, as a person, you kind of convey all those positive vibes. And it's like everybody is inspired by Beatrix. So today, our honored guest, yeah, including myself. So today's is Beatrix Price, and Beatrix is an experienced and well-known TESOL professional. For whoever doesn't know who's Beatrix, so Beatrix is going to tell us more about herself, and then we're going to dive deep into using that kayak, you have it in the background, a little bit, kind of surf and explore the journey together. So welcome, Beatrix, to the Ikigai podcast.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Yusra, and thank you very much that I can be here with you. It's really an honor for me to be one of your honored guests in your Ikigai podcast. And I was very, very happy when you invited me first. I was a little bit also surprised. I thought, me? Why me? But then as we corresponded, I thought, yes, I'm here. So who am I? As you said, I'm a TESOL professional. I live and work in Hungary, in Budapest. I work at a university, at a very prestigious university, I would say. I work at the language pedagogy department. But before I joined this university, I worked in all sorts of places. I have a very colorful, as you refer to the colors, I have a very colorful zigzag trajectory in my professional career as well. I started off as a primary school teacher, and actually not an English language teacher, but a Russian language teacher. But I always wanted to be an EFL teacher. But as life brought it, living in Hungary in the communistic times, I didn't have the chance to learn English. So apart from Russian, I also learned Finnish, and I lived a little bit in Russia, then I lived in Finland. And finally, after the change of regime here, I managed to get a scholarship to England. I studied at a college for 3 years. That's really where I learned English. I was already 27 when I moved to England. And then after I came back to Hungary, I have been teaching English. And this is really the depth of, it comes from the depth of my heart. I love teaching, I love the language, I love English culture, but I also like other cultures, and I love people, I love professional development. And so I taught in primary school, secondary school. I started teaching online already more than 10 years ago, so well before the COVID pandemic. But I love face-to-face interaction, and the reason I love online environment, because this is also a face-to-face interaction between us. And yeah, that's all. Apart from teachers' associations, I am a former president of IATEFL Hungary. Now it's called TESOL Hungary. And I've been presenting at international conferences for many, many years. I'm also a member of TESOL, both TESOL and IATEFL International. And I did my doctoral dissertation on English Language Teachers Association, associations, plural, it's a worldwide study, and on their members' professional development, continuing professional development. So that's all in a nutshell.
Thank you for sharing. And there are other aspects that I really did not know about, like the fact you studied Russian and you taught that, you speak it in the first place, and the fact that you're a polyglot. Usually, the Ikigai podcast is like sheds light on some aspects that are not known about the speaker, are not known about the guest. And I was surprised to know that you lived in so many countries. So what I knew is like, little information about Bea as being the former president of the IATEFL. And I hope, Beatrix, we can take this project from just a Zoom conversation to a real and a face-to-face, authentic interaction with both. And I hope in maybe in an upcoming conference, because just like you are, Beatrix, I like people. I like friends and getting to know new friends, and especially at conferences. So why not? So let's make this a promise from the Ikigai Kaizen podcast to take it to the next level, which is seeing, everybody that I interviewed. And let me share something really, it's like really spontaneous. And just now I had it, I had the idea of sharing this. Is like, I am happy for whoever I interviewed on the Ikigai Kaizen podcast. They're already successful when I did interview them, but seeing some people, evolve in a different way, it's like now I consider maybe interviewing them again and see what happened. A lot of friends and colleagues, sometimes they're educated, others they change careers. Had someone starting his own business. That was a topic we tackled in the Ikigai podcast. So let's really take this space to the next level. And please do know that it's your safe space. And please feel welcome today to share all information you can share with us generously, as you always do. Thank you, Beatrix, again.
Thank you.
So the first question is that we're going to start with the Ikigai today. Is like to explain it to whoever is listening to us or watching the video for the first time. The Ikigai is a Japanese word, and I'm borrowing this word from my podcast, and it means a life purpose. So not necessarily one life purpose, because people can have different versions of themselves evolving in unapologetically being themselves in different versions, different ways, different times spans. So the Ikigai is life purpose. So if I may ask you the question, Beatrix, how many life purposes did you find until now? And if there is one that you can relate to, what is it? Like something that makes you really happy and brings joy to your life?
Well, I always wanted to be a teacher, and I always wanted to be an EFL teacher. And then, of course, life brought different zigzag paths in my life, but I always worked enthusiastically. I never felt that this is a burden for me. I always wanted to bring knowledge and joy into people's life. And for me, teaching is not just transferring knowledge, but it's also a time spent together where both parties grow. And then, so I think this teaching is very, very important. There was only once in my life when I suddenly thought that, I could imagine another profession. Once I was invited to the ambassador's residence of the Indonesian embassy, and we were sitting in the salon with ladies ambassador, and we were sipping tea, and then she had to go out for a second, and I looked around and I thought, maybe this is the life I could imagine for myself. But not this lifetime. No, I'm staying as an educator, and yes, this joy, knowledge and joy that I can feel that people progress in the in the discourse that we are having in teaching or in other contexts. And of course, I'm a lifelong learner. I always want to know or something different, and I never want to get bored. That's wonderful. I never teach the same class or the same thing to different in, even if they are the same titles in the course name. I always want to bring something new in every single class, because I think that also keeps me alive. Because if I enjoy it, then it keeps me going. And if I enjoy it, then my students or the participants of the workshop or whatever I'm doing or giving also feel this joy that keeps them going. And learning, developing, growing, that's important for me.
It's insightful hearing your story as a teacher, Beatrix. Curious to ask you more about teaching. So mentioning that it's a life purpose. How has your teaching, let's say, career path evolved? So can you tell us more about the very first lesson you delivered? How was the first experience? Do you still remember that?
Of course, I remember. First of all, when my classmates from that Russian program did their teaching practice, I was in Russia doing a language course because I wanted to learn the language a little deeper. So I always enrolled for more and more courses. The head of department was very surprised. Not many people wanted to go to Russia in the 1980s. Anyway, so I wasn't part of the teaching practice. And when I came back after half a year from Russia, from the university, then I went to the practice school and I had to deliver my very first lesson. I remember I prepared so much for it. I went to bed at 5 a.m. and got up at 8 o'clock to go to school and to do my first lesson. And I did my first lesson, and the mentor teacher, she said at the end of the lesson, "Oh, wow." Really, that's what she said. "We already chosen somebody's lesson to record, but if I had known that you can teach like this, we would have chosen you." I said, "No, that's too late." So already my very first lesson was quite a success, I would say. And I was only 24 or something. So
that's really inspiring, Beatrix. If there is a piece of advice that you can share with someone who's starting the journey, someone who is really exploring teaching, what kind of maybe thoughts you can share with the person, something that can make them maybe enjoy teaching more, and let's say be less technical about it and enjoying the experience, just like you said, between you and your student. What kind of advice can you give to
first of all, I would say be authentic, be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't concentrate on the material that I have to teach this. Of course, it has to be in you. It has to be your little finger by the time you get into the lesson. But be authentic and accept yourself. This is me. That's what I'm bringing into class. And then the other piece of advice I would give, don't be a perfectionist. I always tell this to my teacher trainees. Enough is enough. A good enough mother, a good enough researcher, a good enough teacher is perfect. And that's perfect. So don't try to achieve too much. Then it leads to burnout. You tire yourself out too much. Life-work balance is very, very important. So good enough is enough, and be yourself. That's it.
Exactly. Sometimes less is more. So it's like you do your best to be yourself, and students they feel it actually because dealing with human beings, and if they feel that they're valued, they're heard, to they're appreciated. So sometimes even the, let's say, the student who gave up on learning a language can really have that hope attending your session, being inspired, especially nowadays with what we have, all with technological advances, AI and VR. Sometimes some teachers they're keen on preparing a techie lesson, something that can impress others, and they forget about the essence, which is really connecting with a student. So this
Absolutely.
connection from a teacher student is really important, because you might really come across them for a semester or two, but they remember you like forever. How many times did you get students reaching out to you and telling you, Miss, really miss you, or thank you, because of you, you made a change in my life, and I learned something new or a new skill. So that's the impact, really, that we should leave behind, like a legacy for us. And talking about teachers and well-being and wellness. And I'm curious to explore more with you, Beatrix, today. Your topic of your dissertation about the role of teacher associations in one's path. Can you tell us more about your research and the scope of it and related to teacher associations, Beatrix? Thank you.
Oh, I always forget numbers. I'm not a mathematician. But
Yeah.
if I remember well, then I included like something like 75 countries in my dissertation, in my research.
Yeah.
So I interviewed leaders and volunteers from these teachers' associations. We also had focus group interviews at different international conferences. I also did a questionnaire about people's professional paths and professional knowledge. And what my findings were that there is actually an amazing path of these people's lives, how they get involved in teachers' associations very often accidentally or just by chance. And as they take on volunteer positions and later leadership profession, there is an exponential growth in professional development for people. So the more you challenge people, the more workload you give to people,
Mhm.
the the better their performance is, and there is an acknowledgement and a reward and all the rest. And so I really think that teachers associations are very, very important places. Any kind of community of practice, professional learning community, is important. But for us English language teachers professionals, ELTAs, like English language teachers associations, are really the safe network, the nest, and the place to grow professionally.
Exactly. And allow me to share my experience here. Because I'm someone whose life has changed ever since I joined the TESOL International Association. And from there, like you said, it was a nesting space, safe space for growth in different professional learning networks. And you know what happened, Beatrix, is like getting to know sometimes the right people, because it's all about being surrounded with successful people with good intentions. That exponential growth happened there because I was active in my country here still, but that was not really what I was hoping for. So the change happened ever since I joined the TESOL International Association and attended one simple meeting in a PLN, Professional Learning Network, with Dr. Liz England. With Liz, then
Yes.
it was a discussion, it was like a coffee chat. And then I made a lot of friends that's still friends until today. And by just sharing, Beatrix, what I wanted to do, it's like I was mentored in a climb program with CPG Career Path Development for TESOL professionals. And it was like a coaching program, kind of. So it was mentee driven. I was asked the question, Yusra, what do you want to achieve? It's like, try to think about this. And they shared with us something like a reflection journal. I set clear objectives. This is what I want. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the time that will take me to do this. These are the resources needed, with the least minimum resources that I had at that time. And then I started. And then just by being myself, and I had the podcast at that time. So the podcast was like a kind of a catalyst for this. So a lot of my friends, they were really happy to support me in the beginning. I can cite Anastasia Khawaja. Anastasia, hello. I can cite Nathan Waller from Macmillan. I can cite many. So I started with actually the podcast, and then did not even have at the time any viewers. Still now, the podcast needs maybe to reach a wider scope and audience. So I kept that momentum until now, and the growth started from there. Then I was a chief
Amazing.
of our associations. Then I was recruited. Now I am the founder and chair of the AIDT SIG, which is the
Mhm.
and digital technologies with TISO conferences. Previously TISO Arabia, and who knows what's the experience? What is it?
You never know.
I'm just
You
happy
never know.
being myself and giving the best that I can, which is my time and effort. And let's say that's what I learned. So teacher associations, for me, it's like a support because it has friends that I love there, supportive colleagues that take you by the hand. Sometimes it's like being there, the presence itself is an inspiration.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for tackling that topic in your dissertation. And it's really amazing. And that's really the takeaway from any learning experience. People can see it differently. Sometimes they can say volunteering, that's not my cup of tea. It's like either I do something pad or I don't do it at all. It's like I'm giving my time and effort. Whereas they don't know the value of volunteering. It's like I feel happy when I really someone reaches out and says, thank you so much for having that webinar, for instance, because I learned a lot from it. Or just by presenting something, I learned from your teacher and practice something like that. So sharing is exponential and happiness likewise. So Beatrix, now when it comes to your current experience, so what you teaching now, and can you tell us more about your context? It's like, and then we'll talk future, let's say your future objectives. So when it comes to now, present moment, professionally speaking, then we'll move on to personally speaking because I appreciate the energy that emanates from you, Beatrix.
Thank you. Yes. So my context is, as I said, it's a university based in Budapest, in the heart of Budapest. This is the oldest established University of Humanities in my country. And I'm very proud of being there or teaching there. I teach mainly teacher trainees, but not solely teacher trainees. The teacher trainee program is a 6-year program in my country. And I usually teach the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th year students. I teach methodology, ELT methodology, how to be a good teacher or hope to be a good teacher. I also teach all kinds of classroom related studies. And I escort the final year students towards their final exam. We prepare for the final exam, and we also look at all the important things that they had learned at various courses before in their studies, which was a theoretical part. But now, as they are on their 6th year, they're all stationed or placed into schools, state schools, or yes, secondary schools. And so I'm trying to bring together theory and practice in their life, how they are coping with all the theory that they learned before. And yes, so teacher trainees basically, almost teachers, almost colleagues, yes, colleagues, already colleagues. And I take also them as my colleagues, and I try to inspire them and guide them towards the future.
So the question here, Beatrix, is about the strategy, the methodology about teaching undergraduate, maybe graduates, and training for professional development. What is the value of this to Beatrix?
Well, I think that learning is and continuing professional development are not two different things.
Mm-hmm.
They are not two different levels. They should be always on the same level. And as it says, continuing professional development, it should be part of pre-service teachers' life as well, just like as in-service teachers' lives. So I'm trying to guide my students towards being a reflective teacher. We keep reflective journals, regular weekly reflective journals. First, they think that this is something very, very, they not say stupid or strange, but they don't really like this kind of reflective journal. Why should we write about theoretical things and activities or our professional development in that 1 week? First, they think that I haven't developed anything professional in a week, and then when they come to the end of their 13-week semester, then they say, wow, it's really amazing to look back how much I have progressed. And so I'm trying to have this reflective teacher idea already in the pre-service teachers. And I think that's very important also for in-service teachers. So when it comes to training later, we always look back, because the past, the future is always reflected in our present. And I like to bring this together like a lemniscate, the past and the future in the present moment. This is mindfulness, I think. That's important.
Exactly. And you brought me into that infinity sign in the past, present, and future, and it's all connected. Now I'll ask you a question, Beatrix. Beatrix in the past, Beatrix now, in the future. If ever we would associate a color, so I know we love colors, both of us, the version of Beatrix that has evolved over time. Can you try maybe to color code it a little bit? So, Beatrix in the past, if it were, let's say, a painting, what kind of colors painting can have?
Yes. In the past, I would say red, dark red. Yes. Fiery red. That's me in the past.
And yeah, what kind of, was it reflecting your passion for teaching?
Yes. This bubbly enthusiasm, this energy, this like fire or the sun, the heat of the sun. That's what I feel about it.
Thank you.
Orange and red.
Yeah. And what about the present version of Beatrix?
Currently, I'm wearing blue. So I would say that I can be clearer. I can be a little calmer. I can focus more on the future. I can have these points, as you mentioned before, about coaching. So number 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
So but I also love the sea. I love water. So blue. I would say blue at the moment.
And how do you imagine maybe Beatrix in 10 years from now? Let's say.
Well, it's nobody ever asked me this question, but it's interesting. I would say that actually the combination of red and blue would evolve into a very mature purple, very deep, beautiful, different shades of purple with maturity and wisdom and yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. It's like you're telling this to someone who likes colors. And the metaphor of the colors today is about a reflection because every color has an energy. And the reflection is to try to kind of capture that energy, try to portray it, try to maybe encapsulate it in a color, in a painting, and so that we can to grasp what we call the momentum. And for every time spent, it's different because it embodies that version of ourselves that evolves over time from past, present, and future. And if the same question I ask it to myself, I would say I'm someone who likes Van Gogh's paintings a lot. It would be like all of those colors swirling, the blue that you said, the green, all those colors. And maybe I will add, a pinch of pink, maybe red to it. Maybe as flowers, maybe as the sun rays, like you said. That's really reflective of what I feel as Yusra right now, as a person and as a professional. And who knows how it can evolve afterwards in terms of colors. But I can see myself even embodying that in terms of career, because the past version is way different from the current one, but who knows what that next one is it. So I'm exploring this with full gratitude. And sometimes it can be from a simple conversation, just like the coaching. I came across it with my mentor coach. I interviewed him for my podcast. And then once I was recommending him to my institution, so he told me, why don't you do it? Why don't you take the training and include this in your institution? So, and here I am, because I liked always coaching, but I did not know from where to start. So I'm grateful to the momentum, let's say, the present moment. And I hope that I'm sharing this with my surrounding, with my friends, with people that I know. And thank you, Beatrix, really for your trust, for
Yes.
the invitation, really being supportive. Apart from the podcast, let me share some few kind of nice experiences that I had with you, Beatrix. It's like you were supportive in my webinars, in Toastmasters. You were there. It's like sometimes it's like you just attend because you were, on the beach or elsewhere without turning on your camera, and you are there. That's really that's so kind, and thank you for doing this. By the way, I want to ask you something about the kayak you have in your background. Yeah. Since you mentioned you like the Beatrix, can you tell us about that version of you that you explored, and how do you feel when you're on the beach? And tell us more about this.
Okay. Right. As you can see, there is a kayak behind me. This kayak is hanging down from the ceiling in our living room. and and since my childhood, I always loved water. I loved swimming. I really, that's my element when I'm outdoors. And Hungary is a landlocked country, but I have been to the sea many times during my life, and I love the color, love the temperature, love the sound of the sea, everything. And then about 15 years ago, my husband started sea kayaking, and and then after our children were growing up and I had a bit more free time, I also joined him or joined them. This is a little community, and I loved every bit of it. And now we go to holidays, usually to seas. We've been to Greece many times. This year we went to Finland, to the Finnish national park, the archipelago, which is between Sweden and Finland, and kayaked from one island to another, remote areas for 2 weeks, 220 kilometers, nothing around you, just nature, birds and seals and just us. We were 10 of us this summer, and the experience what you live through that those days when you go to these remote islands and you live in very close connection with the stars and the sunshine and the water and the air. It's really just unbelievably nice. And I think this is very important for me, but I think it's important for people to recharge their energies, their batteries, with something completely different from their profession. And so the kayak that is hanging there, my husband built that, and he made my kayak as well. I feel very good in it. And yes, so this is important. And how I feel on the beach, safe, because on the water, it's, well, you go and you enjoy it, but when the wind comes, it's a bit dangerous. So when you go on the beach, then you feel, yes, I'm grounded, I'm back to life again. And that's nice. And then I immediately go swimming.
Yeah, that's a good point about this. If we imagine now, Beatrix, that kayaking is life, living your life, leading your life, and the fact of rowing is like whatever you do in life. And I have another metaphor, so we're gonna go back to it later on about water. So the first one is kayaking. Let's say if it's a number over 10, how skillful you think you're good at in kayaking in real life and metaphorically speaking in life, let's say.
Well, in kayaking, and I am not as skilled as in teaching or conference presentations or something like that. Not at all. Our friends are mainly, not all of them, but a lot fitter than I am, sportier. Many of them are 20 years younger, 20, 30 years younger, 15 years younger than I am. And so I'm struggling. I'm struggling when I kayak. But I keep pushing it because I really think that pushing your boundaries in everything is very important in life. And I get better and better and better and better every year. And if I can boast a little, I can tell you that I am skillful or skilled to do a roll. It used to be called an Eskimo roll, but now because of PC, we just call it a roll. Basically, if you capsize, if you fall into the water, then you have to save your life. This is in the times of the Inuits, when they went seal hunting, it was life or death. If they fell in the water, they died if they couldn't get out.
Exactly.
So they developed this technique to roll back. And I was learning it for 2 whole years, practicing every single day, 2 years. But now I can do it. Not many Hungarian women can do that, I tell you.
It's excellent because I tried kayaking a few times, and the first thing you should learn is how to rescue yourself and others, just in case of emergency. Because it's good. The first time I tried it in Thailand, and it was with a guide. I was not the person doing it. It was very challenging because the river, and at that time the flow itself was really risky. And but it was worth every single minute of that kayaking. But after that, I tried it elsewhere in Turkey, and the experience, changes from if you are the one as a passenger, and if you are the one who's really rowing that kind of living the stuff. And that resilient moment of just rising up, just like to be alive for kayaking is really interesting, equally in life. How resilient was Beatrix in life? Just like that row that learned.
Well, I grew up with a father whose favorite saying was, "Nothing is impossible." And this is how I have been conditioned all my life. Nothing is impossible. Of course, there are limits, there are boundaries to one's life, But I always believed in myself that if I want to do something, if I work hard for it, if I persevere, then I can achieve it. That's how I am. That's how I work.
Thank you for sharing this, Beatrix, and knowing all the characteristics of water. So, since you're someone who likes water so much, what do you think Beatrix has as those attributes and characteristics from water, from what we know about water?
Oh, well, life, because water is life. Uh, this silky, smoothing surface also has a little bit in
Yeah.
it. Rich in content, because water is full of fish and plants and other animals, beautiful reefs or rocks. Those are the things that come to my mind.
Thank you for sharing. I'm speechless. So, in other characteristics, for instance, for me, what I like about water is like it fits, not necessarily as to just fit any recipe, and it is because it surpasses the environment that it's put in it. So if it's really beyond that cup of water, it goes beyond that. If it's, if there are rocks, it can get through that water. It can even, revive the dead in terms of plants and human beings. So water is life, as you mentioned.
Nice.
And having those characteristics are needed nowadays, especially with whatever we have technological advances and people, trying to fit into social moves, social constraints, social models. It's like you
Mhm.
have this or you don't fit. You have to teach this way or you don't fit. You have to pronounce English this way or you're not a native and you're native. It's like being just like Bruce Lee. It's like I remember the interview when Bruce Lee was asked about the same question. And he mentioned like with his accent, of course, that I respect so much, he said, "Be water, my friend." And he told him, the journalist, "What does it mean?" It's like water gets, and he explained all the attributes we mentioned about water. And the fact that you mentioned that wellness you feel next to water. Now I'm going to take you with that kayak a little bit far, 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 far away from where you are, Beatrix. In, let's say, 5 or 10 years from now, you imagine the time span that you would like to see that future version of Beatrix. One day you see it in the future. Uh, as you like, you can close your eyes or you can imagine this, or you have a piece of paper and a pen next to you, you can draw it the way you want. It's like, first of all, it's you wake up in the morning. So can you imagine usually when do you usually wake up, at what time? And what's the first feeling that you have in your mind once you wake up? What's the first thought? What do you say to Beatrix? And
Yes. First sentence, life is good. Otherwise, there is no point in living.
exactly, exactly. And
I
Beatrix,
imagine myself by the sea, on the seaside, yes.
huh?
Living in, I don't know whose house, if it's my own or not. I don't have a house by the sea at the moment. But in 10 years' time, well, nobody knows what life brings. And I can imagine, yes, there's a nice, like an olive orchard in my garden. Nice big veranda or terrace, and I'm sipping my cup of coffee there. I can hear the sound of the sea, of course, beautiful blue sky and water, everything is blue. Butterflies are in my garden, flying around, of course. Beautiful flowers and then grass as well. would be nice. I don't know where climate change is going, but would be nice to have some grass as well. And I can imagine actually another stage in my life. By that time, I will be retired, but I don't want to stop working. And I think my career might change a little from being a teacher towards something like coaching. And you inspired me, Yusra. You inspired with your talks. I remember how many talks I listened to yours in the Toastmasters or other, I don't know what webinars, teachers associations webinars or something.
Yeah.
And then there is this little seed in my head and in my heart. So I can imagine there by the seaside that I'm just expecting my next lady group coming for a summer retreat, personal and professional development, a little bit of sacred music, and I don't know, maybe some dance as well, cooking together and doing something really amazing.
Thank you for sharing. And if it's a music in the background now that you can listen to, if it's a song or maybe just instrumental music, what kind of music can it be? Think about it. You don't have to share it, but share to what.
It's very interesting because suddenly when you asked me this question now, I didn't think of the future, but I thought about a workshop. My last workshop I gave at the TESOL Hungary conference in February. I talked about AI, using AI in the young learners classroom. Yes, I forgot to tell you that in my previous life, I used to be a young learner expert. I taught a lot of young learner classes. And I also teach this. I have a course now at university where I run young learner, how to teach young learners. And I love including literature, children's literature in my classes. And so in this presentation at TESOL Hungary, I talked about using AI with children's literature in the young learner class. And how I started my workshop was that I put the music on a JBL full blast, which should I stay or should I go? And I danced up and down in the conference room. Yes, this is the question with AI. Should I stay or should I go? How it is going to evolve in the future? What is our path for the future, for teaching, for schools, for people's learning, professional and personal development? So this was the song that suddenly came to my mind.
Thanks. It's really inspiring. And should I stay or should I go with AI? Do you think AI will stay or will go in the future, whatever we have?
Of course. Yes, there will be lots of dangers as well with it, of course.
Yeah.
Life is full of dangers, as you know, but there are also many pluses, advantages that we can also use as teachers, educators, any profession. And so it will make our life easier, a bit complicated as well in some respect, but easier. So we will have more time to enjoy arts, literature.
Yeah.
We can have a more balanced life.
When it comes to AI and literature, because I'm someone who's really fond of literature myself and cross-cultural studies, and I've experimented with AI at that level, and I did some research and I published an article about that, and it was relating to the use of AI in digital storytelling. So there are a lot of issues that really, where we're kind of being questioned in that sense is like copyright can be one of them, because chatbots usually they do refer back to models, and those models they're actually other artists' creations. Some artists they're now alive and others they're not. For instance, a lot of people there was like the trend of Van Gogh and Klimt. So I'm someone who's fond of recreating those photos and seeing them from my own perspective. And how do you imagine, let's say, if you can choose if you link it to literature or you just link it to EFL. So now AI is being used in the sense that we all know it. Is there a thought that you can share with us, Beatrix, about education and AI in the future? At any particular time span, you can imagine this.
What I can see is that AI is instant, like instant coffee or instant food or something very quick, fast. And in education also, I mean, I'm an advocate for slow life and slow holiday and slow learning, etc. Because one needs the time to do to get deeper into things. But I think that a lot of the times AI can help us to speed up things, to look up things, to give us ideas, to provide creative ideas, lots of creative ideas. Sometimes I find myself quite a creative person, but I ask about something and wonderful, great ideas. Of course, I'm the master of the whole thing, and I mold it together. So I can imagine that this would be a possible path for education to inspire to learners and teachers as well with creative ideas, with lots of possible ideas, not just creative, possible ideas, and then the person chooses the right thing, but also as models. So I can see that AI can produce a better text than I can when it comes to I don't know, academic writing or something like that. And then so it's a model. I'm not using it. I'm not copying it out, but I can see the possibilities how to formulate things differently. And so I'm not an expert on AI at all, but I think that there are lots of possibilities for us in the future, and we'll see. I don't know where it goes, but we can't deny it that it's there, and we can't say that we should eliminate it from our life. It's like having a window, and we would say, no, you can't open the window because fresh air will come in, oxygen comes in. No, it's already in here. There is air and oxygen. So the window is open. We can't push it back or pushing the ocean back.
Yeah.
No, not possible. So we'll see what happens. But I think we have to be really responsible users. And so these responsible or conscious educators, how we use it in the future.
Exactly. The topic is really interesting, and you know, from what I do with the AIDT, the special interest group that we do with AI, we're exploring the topic with teachers, how to use AI responsibly, how to not necessarily create teaching materials because we don't want to automate that. We want the full experience, the classroom experience to be authentic. Sometimes AI can help you, for instance, reimagine your story, relearn something, re,
Absolutely.
for instance, change the format of something, a video to PDF, vice versa, text to speech. So it's there to kind of stimulate curiosity, intelligence, and that's we think that like you mentioned the metaphor of the air. It's just like the air is a breath of oxygen. It makes you think about it, but sometimes if it's too much, so it's like about having the right amount of it. Not too much that we forget about how we teach, how to plan a lesson, because simply we get used to automating the lesson plans. Not to the extent of really automating feedback, for instance, for students, because a student is a human being and you know that student in class. So that student is expecting you to give a personalized feedback, not an AI generated one. Same for podcast. It's like it's good sometimes, like Notebook LM, for instance. It kind of gives you an overview and a summary of a book or a video or whatever. It's good, but not for an overuse of it. It's like moderating the use is really something that I really um, aspire and not really because I'm not in a position to recommend anything about AI, but being careful about it, especially for young learners, because sometimes the over reliance of that makes them idle sometimes to face any issue. Like we're trying to get them used to problem solving skills and 21st century skills. So the thing is that how to use AI responsibly is among the things we get used to. Now we're reaching towards the end of our podcasts, but before that, I'm still sticking to that vision of that we left a little bit talking about music, your future life. Now you said you're sipping your maybe your tea or your coffee. Your friends are there, but now like everybody is left, and it's like maybe sunset, and there's been, let's say, that future version of Beatrix sitting around the table next to the younger version of Beatrix.
Oh,
Younger one, the future one. What do you imagine Beatrix saying to younger Beatrix? Look at Beatrix now. You have Beatrix on the screen. Look in the eye to Beatrix and
okay.
one thought, anything you can share, saying to Beatrix. What can it be?
One thought.
As you like. I want to. I don't really make you think a lot about it, but if you want a speech,
Yes. Well, I would say take your time. Just like as I said before, the advice I would give to young colleagues: be authentic, or keep being authentic. And I would say be brave. Yes, be brave. And so, if you have dreams, pursue them. Because even now, when I'm quite close to retirement age, I still have dreams. I'd like to fulfill them. And yes, be brave, Beatrix. I would say that to myself.
thank you for sharing this, Beatrix. And I can feel the energy. I can see your smile, and I can, that moment you took a little bit, a moment of reflection. I felt that as well. And thank you for sharing all those emotions. And I hope you fulfill even more dreams than you expect, Beatrix. And please, please keep being who you are because you inspire many. Thank you again, Beatrix. And I'll let you wrap up with anything you want to say, a thought, something you want to share, whoever is watching you today, Beatrix.
Yes, I would like to thank again to you for inviting me here, but not just for being invited, but also for inspiring me, as I already said, with your coaching sessions. And there were two other names you mentioned during this podcast: Liz England and Anastasia. And both of them were here in Hungary, and I made the effort to meet them. I invited Liz for a couple of days to my house, and we spent some lovely time together. Anastasia was here with her family, and we met in Budapest for breakfast. I would love to see you as well here, Yusra, one day. Yes. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank all my IATFL and TESOL friends and colleagues for inspiring me all along the way and for giving me the belief that I can do it. And that's really where I am, is due to their encouragement, invitations for different webinars, conferences, and then the time spent together, either remotely or face to face. But this is really important, this inspiration that has come from my friends, from my professional friends.
Thank you so much. And I'm sending love to Liz and Anastasia if they manage to watch this episode, and to all our friends, be it in TESOL International, IATEFL, any teacher association, or not affiliated with any teacher association, any colleague who's watching this and might find a thought, an inspiring thought to live their life with purpose. Thank you again, Beatrix, for accepting the invitation, for sharing your life story with us. And I hope we meet in person, and I'll make it happen. I'll just let you know what is the next conference that I'll be in, and we'll make it happen, inshallah. Thank you, Beatrix.
Thank you very much again, Yusra.
Thank you
All
so
the best to you as well.
Thank you so much to whoever who reached the end of this episode today. Congratulations for making it. Yay! And we hope to see you again in the fourth edition for the Ikigai and Kaizen podcast starting in September. And guess what, Beatrix? The next edition will be kind of major devoted for coaches. So,
Wow.
we'll have plenty of that, and we'll have live coaching sessions, demo coaching, a lot of things with different levels, because this is a source of inspiration and it should be really maintained. Not for me, but to everybody who thinks there is a thought to be shared in here. You're welcome to the Ikigai and Kaizen podcast. So, thank you again, Beatrix. To whoever is watching us, thank you and see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.